Hi everyone, so here we are again, and I am actually very happy to be present today. And I thank you, by the way, for watching, because I had some people like kind of asking me what was the procedure after this South African Soweto uprising. Yes, this story was very interesting, because with this June 1976 massacre, it was a thing that really made everything, to be completely out of hand in South Africa. And the most saddest story about this, the first student who was shot dead was Hector Peterson. That was so bad. And we were all actually marching, and just because of our rights. And it was so hurting just to see a young student just being shot dead because he was also marching with us for our rights. Yes, and this massacre, it really changed everything with our schooling. So can you imagine, we had about 1.5 years or 2 years without school. This was very disgusting, and no one intervened on our side, so we were like pushed away, so we had no schools. So this was a thing that really actually moved a lot of things into this so-called boredom, and we didn't have nothing to do. So as I mentioned in the last video, I managed to find a job, which I did explain in the last video. I don't have to repeat it. So those who missed it, so you watch my previous video. So now I am going to proceed with the story. Okay, after I quit my job as a, where I've done my job as a, like we're trained how to sew clothes and things like that. So one day, as I sat home, I decided for myself, I thought, sitting here, I don't get any further. So I've decided to go to the city to look for a job. Okay, then while I was walking in the city, I saw this name of this nightclub, just called Las Vegas those days. So I decided to go in there just to go and ask if there is a job for me. I walked in there, it was in the morning, around about 10. I saw people walking outside from the club, and I thought, hey, why not? Let me go and ask. I was so brave at my age. I walked into this club and I asked for the manager. And the manager was there, obviously. And people are going out from the club, so I'm coming into the club, So yeah, then I asked for a job, and the guy said to me, okay, so you have to come the day later. So then when he told me I have to come the next day, I convinced another friend of mine. So we went to this club, and you won't believe it, then we got a job. And I got a job that I had to clean the glasses in the kitchen. Okay, I done my job perfectly. Anyway, I liked cleaning. So I did wash the glasses. And while I was bringing the glasses all the time while I was working there, it was like some people took notice of me. And my boss realized, but every time I bring the glasses on the bar, the men, women, whatever, they were like, hey, who are you? Who are you? And I thought, yeah, hi, a bit shy. I was still young anyway, So this was so funny, because the boss told me to come. I think I was there about 2 months, and then he told me to come the next day at 4. Hey, this was so interesting. I came there and I thought, what did I do? I didn't steal. I was doing my job perfectly. I was washing my glasses perfectly, and I was putting them nicely in a row where they belong, So the boss told me, we've realized that the people, they like you. And I thought, yes, this I've realized too. And I wasn't aware. And I thought maybe they chased me away because the people liked me. And I thought that would be kind of, funny. But anyway, the boss told me, Albertina, we have a special job for you in this club. I said, whoa, what was it? And he told me, we're going to train you how to mix the alcohol, the soft, into soft drinks and things like that. And then I said, aha, so I'm going to learn to be a barmaid? He said, yes, you're going to learn to be a barmaid. And obviously I was kind of, very inquisitive. And I thought, I'm going to learn to mix those concoctions. And I was happy. So I've learned immediately. I was so quick in the things. So I've learned how to mix those concoctions, and I knew the alcohol names, the brandy, the whiskey, the gin tonics, whatever. And I've learned so quick. So I was promoted. Then I worked as a bar lady. or a barmaid, whatever you call it. But for me, was the biggest experience too. After I learned to be a woman that was sewing clothes, or at my age, I was still a teenie or teenager, whatever you call it. Anyway, then I've learned how to work in a bar. Then I got my things together. I was so successful with my work. And then as the time went by, I was really, really beginning to see that this job is so beautiful, but it's very, very strenuous. You know, it happened for me that while I was driving home, no, before I knocked off at work, I took a taxi. This is something interesting. I took a taxi driving home. I sat at the back of the taxi and I was alone. Driving into this taxi, this man took other direction because I fell asleep. I was like, oh, I was falling asleep. And while he was driving, I could feel the bumps, you know, in the car. The car was going like this, and hey, what is this? And all of a sudden, I opened up my eyes and I've seen I am not on the direction going home. I'm going somewhere else. I screamed at this guy because he saw I was asleep, because this job was so strenuous. You finish in the bar and then after you go home, you're so exhausted. And then I've seen that this man drove on a certain direction. And then I woke up and I screamed, hey, where are you driving me to? What do you want to do with me? I opened up the door while the car was driving. And I had the biggest angel, because while I jumped out of the car, it was like in a forest. And I was lucky because there were 3 people coming towards the car, and they've seen that I jumped out of the car and I screamed for help. And this man actually reversed the car and drove further, and I was on the floor screaming. And then these people, they came to me and they actually helped me, you know, and I was like in a big shock. So imagine, I am, you know, like tired, coming from work, and then thinking this man is driving me home. So he had some other kind of ideas. I don't know what he had in his mind, but I was lucky, because being so lucky, then I managed to escape. I don't know if this man had intentions to kill me or to rape me or whatever, but I was really, really protected. And this is the story that really made me think I cannot work any longer in this club, because I don't know what would have happened to me. Driving home in the morning tired, so for me it was dangerous. So then something told me, Albertina, now you have to slow down. And I told myself, I am gonna quit this job because I see danger. Because somehow I had some kind of a clairvoyance, you know, I could really like figure out things. And I thought, now is the time to leave. I've learned how to mix the concoctions. I've learned how to run a bar. I've learned many things in this nightclub. So for me, it was like, now is a dead end. You don't proceed anymore, because I was actually scared of my life. So I left this club and I called actually the boss the next day, and I told him, I am sorry, I cannot continue with this work, because I nearly, I don't know if I would have died or whatever. I just told them I was nearly killed or whatever, or raped even, because I was thinking many things. I was like shaky. So my grandparents told me, Tina, you don't go anymore there. You stay home. And I agreed also. And I was really helping my family, you know, helping them with the food, because I was really taking care of them. But my grandmother said to me, okay, it doesn't matter, Albertina, if you don't work anymore, we will try somehow. And then I said to my grandmother, yes, I think this was a lesson. Maybe it's a message from the universe that I should really stop doing this. And then it was the end of my job that I've done in this nightclub. And I was glad, because I've learned something. So by so saying, in life, we go into phases. So after this phase of this nightclub, then something told me, Albertina, now go for the next step. Then I was thinking, what do I do now? What is my next step? What is my life purpose? What am I doing? Am I ready to really sit like this again? Continue. You know, my life was like getting bored. What can I do? But I was like always, you know, I was always like feeling like doing something. I always had this drive in me. I cannot just sit. I'm like an adventurer. I like to do things. I want to check here and there. And then something told me, put on your shoes, put on your clothes, go to the city, go for it again, look for something. And I stood up in the morning. My brains told me, make yourself smart, move into the city. I went to the city. While I was walking in the city, it was like for me, the D-Day. The day when I was like window shopping. And then I saw this couple looking at me, and I was dressed like a hippie. You know, those big shoes, those pants, you know what I mean? Afro look. Ooh, I looked so kinky. Anyway, they asked me who I am. And I told them. They gave me a card to tell me I should call them the next day, which I did. And I didn't know what was happening. So I did the call, and they invited me. That's when I was discovered as a model. And I thought, wow, my life is elevating. From a girl that was sewing clothes, and then after I worked as a barmaid, and now I'm elevating. I'm becoming a model. Wow. This was the greatest thing for me that would ever happen. But now, the next video I'm going to do for you, it's also connected with racism and apartheid. This I'm going to explain to you next Friday, because I went through a lot of things during this time. And then during this time, you're going to also realize exactly what it meant to be also a black model in South Africa, walking in the streets of Johannesburg, what the police were thinking, seeing a black model as you know in the city. So this is gonna be another story that's gonna even interest you, because this is gonna be very fiery, because this I've learned a lesson about it. And yes, so I think I'm gonna make it like this. I just wait for you people next Friday, or you wait for me, vice versa. You wait for me, and then next Friday I'm gonna make the next video that's gonna continue with my life. What happened after I was discovered as a model? What kind of apartheid and racism I went through? So I do hope that you like the video, share, and subscribe if you like. You subscribe if you want. If not, it's nice that you're watching, but it's gonna be more interesting to get to know this Albertina, who truly I am, because my life was elevating step by step, day by day. So I'm happy that you had the time to watch my video. So see you next Friday, and take care and be blessed. Thank you. Mwah.